All right, here we go, back with another episode of the Dealer Playbook Podcast. I'm so glad you're joining me today because my guest is going to freaking drop power bombs on you like it is going out of style. Okay, don't get worried. I don't know what I'm saying here other than I'm super excited to have Kathi Kruse on the show today. Many of you know Kathi. You've consumed her content, I'm sure, in some way, shape, or form. And she is joining me on the show today to share insights into how you can get more out of social media. We're going to talk specifically about Facebook and the KPIs and strategy and things that you can do to get more results. And come on, man, I know that is what you're looking for. So let's dive into this episode of the Dealer Playbook. Hey, Kathi, what's going on?
Hey, everything and anything.
Yeah, you're busy, heads down, working some big projects, it seems like.
Yeah. Shifting things.
Just before the call, you were slamming back a protein bar because that's what Kathi Kruse does. She's in a million places and one place all at the same time.
Yes. And a lot of times that's just in my head.
I think most of our heads sometimes. It's funny, actually, you say that. I was talking to a guy and he's like, don't we wear busy as a badge sometimes? Like it's like this badge of honor. It's like, oh, I'm so busy all the time. But no, I hear you. And thanks so much for taking the time to join me on the Dealer Playbook and be my first guest in this new setup that I have here.
Yay. Well, thanks for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
You know what? I've been looking forward to having you on the show since we met for the first time in person at Digital Dealer. Was it Digital Dealer in Orlando?
Uh-huh.
And ever since then, I have a notebook and I'm like, okay, I need to ask Kathi Kruse this, and I need to ask, and I use your full name, by the way. Like I need to ask Kathi Kruse this. Yeah, totally. And so it's exciting to finally have you on the show. I know a lot of dealers are asking questions that I think we can explore and just dive into your brain here for a few minutes. Specifically, I want to start off with Facebook because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I've kind of observed is a lot of dealers are starting to go, hey, wait a second, I think there's an opportunity here in Facebook. We're starting to see them divert maybe some of their budgets or a little bit of their budgets away from Google and Bing and some of the more, I guess now we can call them traditional digital advertising mediums. And they're starting to explore with Facebook. But as always happens, I think what we're seeing is dealers going, okay, but what am I looking for here? How do I get more out of this? And so I want to turn this over to you. When a dealer is saying, okay, I want to get involved in Facebook, I've got a budget set aside. What are some of the things that they should be looking for getting started?
Well, first, I would say that make sure that you can commit to it. Because it's going to be a different kind of journey. And in fact, I just had a client right before we were talking here that they come to the table and it's either maybe the dealer, but sometimes it's also the staff that's involved in the marketing, because more and more I think there's in-house staff that has to be in place to do marketing. So
Right.
But you've got to come with, it's like you want to be there, like you heard about it and like it's where you need to be. And I hear this from everybody, but I'm not really sure. And there's a lot of apprehension about it. And then some do kind of make the decision they want to do it. But it's almost like somebody that decides that they're fat and they need to go on a diet. And they say, well, I'm going to go on a diet. I really want to. I want to lose weight. But then not quite ready. They can't really fully take the action to get there. And it's our behavior. It's like human behavior. So
it's because they haven't charted out and that's almost a goal setting, like life lesson that you just dropped on me here, because I'm in that process right now. And boy, do I wish that after 5 weeks of working out, I could just see some sort of like resemblance of something happening in the abdomen region. But, I think the differentiator and why I'm still sticking with it 5 weeks into the process or picking it back up into 5 weeks into the process is because, I sat down and like you said, am I committed? Am I committed to seeing this thing through? And what are all the steps that are going to take place between the decision I just made here and what it's going to take to get there?
Yes. Yep.
And so we're seeing that with Facebook, you're saying?
Yes, definitely. So many that lately, for some reason, so many are like, yeah, I really need this, but they're not really ready. Whether it's operationally ready, and that can mean many things, or their salespeople aren't ready or whatever.
Right.
But also just that it's the actual commitment that it takes, and understanding really what that commitment is, and that's probably what I do most of the time, is at least through my blog and through my conversations, is try to get people to understand that these mediums are, valuable, but you have to have a strategy and have a plan. And just taking to it like willy-nilly is going to get you nowhere. And
but I thought willy-nilly was my strategy. I thought, and just to break out what I'm saying here, because you and I chuckle about this, but I mean, willy-nilly really is kind of the strategy the thing that a lot of people call strategy, not just in the car industry, but we sit here and we go, okay, so my strategy is I was spending 10 grand a month on Google. I will now spend 5, take the other 5 and put it on Facebook and run the exact same type of ads.
yes.
So that's just for those of you listening in, that's kind of where I'm going with the willy-nilly. And I mean, Kathi, you tell me, is that kind of what you're seeing is happening most prominently right now?
Yes, definitely. It's both with content, like the subject matter of the content. So in other words, no, you can't really post the picture of like a boring car and say, here's a special and here's the monthly payment and call us today. That isn't going to work. So that content part of it, because content really needs to reach all the types of the buying phases, I call it. And those are people that are not in market, or people that have just recently bought from you too, but you still get to keep them part of your community. So the content part of it, and then the actual like dollars that you spend on Facebook ads. What are your KPIs? So I know we're going to talk about that. So starting with a goal. Each ad should have a goal, or you can have a goal, in a bunch of ads with that same goal, but and then be able to take that and run it for a while, then measure what you do and tie it back to where your goals are, and then you'll see what worked and what didn't. And there's so much opportunity on Facebook ads too that this is another where the willy-nilly stuff can get out of hand. It seems like literally every week something new comes from the Facebook ads platform. So
it gives me anxiety. It's like, do you think the willy-nilly is powered by, here's a game. Do you think it's powered by like laziness? Because we're just so impatient. Because you said something, and that was to see it through. Like, run ads for a while or run a strategy for a while to see it through. So is it because we're just inherently so lazy? We think like, hey, no, $5,000, we're going to see results. Even if the result is like a bunch of vanity metrics, I don't know. And we just feel like that did something. B, is it because we just don't know, or C, kind of a hybrid, all of the above?
I think it's both. I think, for instance, there's actually have a Canadian client that's, we started looking at what they're spending and their ROI, and they're spending $4,500 a month in pay-per-click, and they don't have access to their Google Analytics, and they don't have any, I mean, and they don't know any better. And it's not that they're dumb. It's just they don't know any better, and they haven't been around the knowledge base to know that. Yeah. And so, I asked them, what were you getting for 40? It was actually more than 4,500, because they were charging them another 900 for remarketing and another 1,600 for something else. And I want to cry when I see that, because if you're getting what you need from that kind of spend, awesome, great. But usually that's not the case. It's,
sure.
And that's part of actually what I do, because I really need to have I treat it like me. If it was my business, I would want to know, I'm spending on this. What am I getting for it? So, but just helping them understand that. So I think there is that not knowing, but there is, it's laziness by laziness is like the symptom, but the root of it is the mindset of old media.
Sure.
Old media where
Yeah.
you'd, create an ad or two, have put it in the newspaper for the weekend or on TV or whatever, and then people would show up in the showroom and off you'd go. And it's a struggle, especially for those that lived it. But I lived it, and if I can transition, then others can, but
You know what? And it's funny too. I think, and that's one of the reasons we do this show is to kind of demystify like, hey, here's what it actually looks like to do this stuff. I think a lot of times, people are shocked to find out that developing the strategy is probably the most intensive work, like the figuring out like who's our market segment here, like demographics data, compiling all that information, coming up with the messaging, the copy, the graphics, all these sorts of things. And they think like, hey, oh, we thought advertising was just grab a cool image from like big stock photo
or Google.
or Google. Yeah, copying a licensed image from Google and dropping it in, and away we go. And there is so much more to it. And I think that the effectiveness, if somebody's just willing to see through the strategy from start to finish and kind of take the steps the right way and be patient and realize, you know what, there's no rush here. Like, I'm not going to go out of business tomorrow if I don't get these Facebook ads up or even these Google ads or whatever it is, or send out these tweets or whatever. I'm not going to go out of business. If we can get past that, I feel like then it alleviates a lot of the pressure to say, okay, well, what is the strategy? First of all, like, who am I speaking to here? Who is my buyer? Like, do I have a buyer profile? And I feel like the OEMs spend a gazillion dollars a year on marketing agencies to come up with this information for the dealers to use, but I don't think it's like as readily available. You can see offshoots of it, like when you see a Honda Element commercial, and it's always a dude like racking up his mountain bike or throwing a surfboard on the roof, and like you get glimpses of who the advertising and who the vehicle is maybe built for. But at the dealer level, it's almost like, here's the money, here's one message, we hope it's valuable to everybody, and then we sit here and wonder why it doesn't work. So I guess where I'm going with this is, if we wanted to lay just a very simple, actionable path or strategy out for those listening or watching, where do we start? What's the first step? Do we have like maybe a mini 5 to 7 step sequence that will help those, consuming this content right now kind of figure out where they need to go, where they need to get started?
Yeah, if I'm thinking about, we talked about Facebook. There's a lot of there. I can talk about that in a second, but I think overall, just marketing in general, you want to set your goals, and then you can build your strategy around that. And I think and part of that, I was just listening to an awesome podcast yesterday about buyer personas. This is not something dealership level people really have ever had to deal with, because things were not that way. You didn't need to really necessarily.
Right.
If you did, it would be great, because the more you know about your customer, the better your marketing is going to be, and the more happier they will be, and the more happy you will
Sure.
be. But identifying the traits of your customers and kind of establishing those buyer personalities, buyer personas is. I just realized how important it is, and especially now that you have Facebook ads, because you have this wealth of data and information from Facebook users, and it isn't just about location anymore. You can do a whole bunch of really cool things with the things that the data that Facebook has available. So, but if you don't,
Facebook's like Skynet from Terminator.
Yeah,
pretty much. Like, they know. Facebook knows where terrorists
Yes.
are, but because of their privacy laws, they can't, and so like, I hear what you're saying. How can you, I'm just picturing somebody sitting there, and you know what? I've done it myself. I sit in front of, Ads Manager or Power Editor or something like that, and it comes time to do targeting, and I'm like, oh, right, there's 5,000 options here.
Yes. Yes.
And so, what you're saying about creating a buyer profile or a persona or something like that, I think oh man, it just does wonders for getting this whole thing kicked off, and also ties into the goals, right? Because I feel like a lot of times we don't set clear or concise enough goals. We say, I mean, I bet you we could count to three and both say what the typical goal is, and 1, 2, 3 leads,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, we want leads. We want to sell more
Yeah.
cars, but it's got to be. I think it's got to be more specific than that. I mean, what's your take?
Because
I
any
feel like
goal
leads is
is,
just
if you just write down a goal and you have no plan, then what is that saying? A goal without a plan is just a wish. Yeah,
yeah,
that's that.
totally.
Yeah, it doesn't just work. And you go to conferences, or you read blog posts, or whatever, and there's a lot of really great tactics that you can take, like with custom audiences on Facebook ads, and retargeting, and gosh, website custom, which is retargeting. There's so many saved audiences was the other thing I was going to say. But those are tactics. But if you don't have a strategy, you're just going to spin your wheels. And I know I keep saying it. I know that I do. But it's because you have to break down so that you can
Yeah,
measure what you're doing and say, okay, did this work? And that's the best thing about digital marketing, is that you can track it. It's trackable. You can see what's working, what isn't.
right.
Even with content, some people will say, well, I'm just my content, I'm not sure, and what's happening on there, and it's not really doing anything for me. It's not selling anything for me. Well, marketing isn't always, there's components to marketing, and reaching those customers that aren't like in market today is still valuable. And so what can you do to get a measure of what your content is about? And, the tactic there is certainly promote the content on Facebook, or, do Twitter or whatever works for you. But for Facebook is the main thing.
So you're saying like just having a website and just doing Facebook ads is not enough? Oh, I crack myself up. No, you know what though? Like whether it's Facebook ads, whether it's content, like you said, everything is. And you said you're saying it often, but I mean the point is the success of anything you do in marketing is hinged upon whether or not you have a strategy or not. And like you said, I mean my takeaway here is if you don't have a clear, concise goal, then whatever follows in your execution plan will never measure up to any measure of success, and you're always going to be either mad at your vendors because they're not working. You're going to be mad at your business development. I don't know, whoever like you need to point your finger at. You're always going to be mad. You're always going to feel like you're being deceived. You're always going to feel like the information out there isn't accurate because you didn't take the time to say, oh, leads. Okay, cool. But what type of leads? New car leads, used car leads, finance leads, service leads. Oh, service leads. What specifically about service leads? Well, you know what? We have a real cool program where we custom build this and this and that. Oh, okay. Now we're talking.
Yep.
And I'm certain of it. Like not even just car dealers, but a lot of people I think who are listening or watching this right now are going, holy crap, my strategy isn't solid enough because my objective isn't clear enough.
Yeah. And I think I come to the table that way because most of my time in retail, well, not most, well, nearly all of my time was managing. I was
Right.
a GM and a CFO probably 80% of the time that I was for my career. And so being a CFO, I came to operations with that knowledge, the accounting side of it, the financial statement side, the doc side. So when a dealer's going to do this, I'm thinking, if you don't have if either you don't want to do it or you don't really, it's not in your wheelhouse to do it, incorporate someone from the office or someone that can look at these analytics and make sense of it. I actually have a client that does this. Their business manager is involved in the spend. And once she's involved in what the spend is, then she looks at every single thing and goes, oh, show me what we're getting for this. And back in the old days of dealerships, there was a PO book, and we had a separate PO book for advertising.
Sure.
and you'd, write a PO and then off it'd go. And then at the end of the month, you had somebody look at that PO book and match up everything and see what was going on. Just take that routine and apply it here. And I think that it's because somebody's got to really look at this. Somebody does. And the days
Sure.
of being frustrated, and like this other client I was talking about that doesn't have access to their Google Analytics because their website provider uses their own and doesn't let the dealer see it. That's a big problem. It's a big problem. And enough is enough. It's been going on for 15 years or maybe longer.
That's my asterisk sigh right there. Oh, like it's 2016. Why? You need to have access to your own analytics. Like,
Yes.
move goals to the side for a second. Like if you don't have access to your own Google Analytics, like what the balls is going on, right? Like you need to have that.
Yes.
I love what you're saying here because it resonates with me. I feel like our brains are kind of connected right now because these are some of the things I think I rant on most frequently. Just being in the know and what you said about seeing it through and the results and holding yourself, your team, your vendors, whoever it is, accountable by auditing what's going on. You said something that stood out to me. What am I getting for this? And I think a lot of times, what happens? Did I get any more leads? Oh, I didn't. Well, what the heck? And then you realize at the end of it that everything you might have described to your third party marketing agency was an awareness play, not a like macro, take action play. And because you didn't realize it, because that decision and that thought process happened so quickly, your brain is still saying, I want leads, I want sales. But your agency went on a whole like reputation, brand awareness, like whatever, phase, and you were expecting people to show intent.
Yep. That's
It was funny. I was actually having a conversation yesterday with a friend of mine, and I said, look, business person aside, okay, the business person in me wants fast results because I'm a red-blooded, I shouldn't say cold-blooded, but like a red-blooded, capitalist. But the marketer in me switching hats says, you know what? The whole premise of my job is to make mistakes as fast as I possibly can, because in so doing, I learn what works.
absolutely.
And I feel like that's kind of the direction we're going when it comes to marketing. I'm seeing more and more dealers buying into this idea of, oh, wait, if that's the case, that also means we are unique as a business and as individuals. And if we are unique, then I cannot aim where am I going with this? They go to these 20 groups, they go to the conferences, like you said, they come back with these like high level figures of here's what you could achieve, like get a 200 lead percent guarantee increase, all these kind of this crap that we buy into. Then they come back to their store, scramble the jets. It's like DEFCON 5 at the dealership now because so-and-so at this conference said I should be getting quadruple the leads that I should be getting until they pause for a minute and realize, wait a second, I am in like Walla Walla, Washington, where there's, I don't know, like 4,000 people, and I own a franchise, whatever store, Chevy store, and this is a predominantly Ford country or whatever, and all of it. Like they're not considering, I think, the big picture.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about set goals, set proper goals. Mm-hmm. Put together a buyer persona, and that's going to help you so much when it comes to advertising and producing content. You've said now distribute that content on social media, which I don't think happens enough, probably because it's not share-worthy enough. Yeah. I'll just venture to say, where do we go from there? Okay, we've got goals. We've know who we're talking to. We've put something out there. Now what?
Then you want to have the KPIs and for key performance indicators. So you're looking at what you're doing, you're looking at the results, and you want to say, what am I doing? What is this? What is this actual metric? And did I reach it? How did I reach it? If I didn't reach it, then what do we need to do that's different? And that can happen even on a daily basis with Facebook ads. As you do your best guess about what the campaign will be for, and you write the copy and the image and then the target. You target the right people, which is a big component. It's actually the most important component. And then and then you see how it worked. And sometimes you have to tweak it, which is great. The availability to do that is like right at your fingertips. So, but so setting these KPIs, and I actually, as we were talking, I was bringing up I have a lot of dealers, and I'm guilty of this myself. I've always been one that relied on my gut and did it, gut wise, did it work? And
Sure.
everyone should always rely on their gut for certain things. But when it comes to Facebook marketing or in digital marketing, content marketing, you have data, and you'd be amazed at what you can find out when you look at the data as well.
Sure.
So it's and taking those tactics that you learn in your 20 group or on at Digital Dealer or wherever you go, you the tactics before strategy is never a good practice. So so that said, but with Facebook KPIs in general, I would look at my three top ones. I actually wrote about 8 of them, but there's more than this. But the top ones are you growing your audience? Are you growing your Facebook audience? There's a lot of talk now about, do I really need to have likes on my page? Yeah, for a dealership, yes. For other businesses, maybe not. But you're a local business that is in a community, and you want to make yourself available. And why not bring those real life community members into your Facebook community? So growing your likes.
I love that, because how many times have we heard, no, likes are just a vanity metric, they don't mean anything.
Yeah.
You're saying no, there's actually an impact here when, as a local business, local people in your community are, like I've always thought of it as, well, it's mind share. Like the fact that a real human being of their own free will and testament looked at me long enough to make a choice to click a like button, like, to me, that's not just vanity, that means something. So I love that,
Yeah.
that you said
Not
that.
all likes are
That's
created
really cool.
equal. Like, you don't go buy
Yeah.
likes from, places like
Sure.
Turkey or Saudi Arabia. You spend the effort to get the likes that are within your market area or the competitor's market area.
There's a bunch of people going through deleting some of their Facebook likers right now. You know?
Yeah. So
Crap turkey.
yeah,
They're all
so
from
you want
Turkey.
to grow, dude, you can't believe what I've seen. There's a
Oh,
dealership in Southern California that I've seen the back end of their Facebook page, and they have about 300,000 likes on their page,
wow.
and I'd say 95% are
Yeah.
from, they're just fake. They're fake likes, really.
Dude, and I mean, like, meanwhile, some poor, like, with turnover, some poor, like, internet director rolls into this thing, pulls up their Facebook, and is like, how come, like, somebody explained to me why 90% of my comments are all written in, like, glyphs, like symbols,
Yes.
and they don't realize, well, some smart person, decided to pay, who knows, I don't even want to know how much you pay for these types of things, to get all
He
these
was paying
Facebook likes, because they
1,500 a
thought
month
it.
the last time I checked.
And you know what? Like, it doesn't take long for the Facebook savvy individual,
Yeah.
which, by the way, I think we all are
Yeah.
today, to realize that when you post something and you have 300,000 likes and you have 0 engagement on your posts, it doesn't take people long to do the whole, like, CSI, like, Horatio, like, I think we have, paid likes here kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
And Facebook
Oh,
notices it
man.
too. PS. Okay.
Yeah, fair enough. And so does that, let me ask you that while we're talking about this, because Facebook notices it, does that affect reach? Do they
Oh,
start
yeah.
like, they start kind of suppressing you and saying, okay, well, you're fake?
Yes, it's just like Google. It's like Google's and Facebook both. They want to deliver the best experience for users. And
Yeah,
Facebook can stumble here and again. I get it, but at least they're moving forward. They do, and Google too. But so when you get regular, first of all, they know where your likes are coming from. They can tell whether they're fake or not.
sure.
But also the fact that no one's engaging. And so what little organic reach you possibly could have is completely, forget it. No one is seeing your content. Nobody. I mean,
How would this differ from, I mean, because I think, I'm sure there's people out there that are going, okay, well, how does that differ from when like Facebook promotes to me to pay to promote my page to get more likes?
How does what differ? The organic reach?
Well, like, so say, like for myself, I have a Facebook page, public figure page, or however it's been set up. And every now and again, Facebook will say, hey, promote your page to get more likes. So where I'm going with this is, so we've talked about paying for likes, $1,500 a month for, everybody and their dog from Turkey and Russia and Syria to come and like your page versus Facebook saying, well, here, how about you do this to get more likes to your page? What's the difference? I'm sure there's more strategy behind it versus like just Facebook trying to take our money.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a big, huge difference. Well, those likes are bots, most likely. They're not even real people. So,
Got it.
and Facebook knows this. Okay, but when you get the little notice to like, hey, grow your page likes, yes,
Yeah.
and as long as dealerships, as long as you are targeting, you're targeting correctly, you're going to get a decent return, and targeting the right people, targeting. For likes, for likes, I'm a big fan of using retargeting, the website custom audiences version to grow
Sure.
your likes, because those people have visited your page or some page on your site or your site somewhere.
Yeah.
And so they know you already. And if you've got some decent content, then you could actually serve an ad to them to like your page. There's also, and just while we're talking about likes, there's some that page like ads actually work really well. And then there's other cases where you're putting like your latest blog post or some really cool information out there that your target audience wants to know. And then you pay to promote that. And there's a like can come with that as well, because the little like button's on the ad. So I'm seeing a lot more of that happening too,
Which I think is brilliant.
You don't have to do exact, like grow your page likes. If you want to, awesome. It's kind of depends on some factors, but one is the creative side part of it, and the time and effort that you have available to do that. But
sure,
yeah, it's all about.
Well, I mean, I'm trying a strategy like that right now, where through so I created a group on Facebook called Entrepreneur Growth Hacks. It's non-industry specific, but it's just a place for like solopreneurs and entrepreneurs to get, connect with each other. And it's different where, most entrepreneur groups are like people talking about how awesome they are and how big the deal they just closed is and how dumb their customers are, or the like motivational, like, typography and all those sorts of things. Our group is, we talk about like, here's the nitty gritty of like growing your business. Like we talk finances, we talk business strategy, we talk those sorts of things. But a strategy going along the lines of what we're talking about here, since I can't actually run ads as my group to promote the group, what I did is I created a wall post on my business page, talking about the group and a link to the group. And I promoted that post to my target audience. And it's been really crazy. There's been, like you've said, there's the spill off of like page likes that have come from it, but there's also the strategy where my group has grown from people who are genuinely interested in like growth hacking their business or their career. But like you said, along with what you were saying, my intent was to like promote a post to get people to my group so they could check it out for themselves. But as a result, I think just in the last day or two, I probably had 30 or 40 people like my page, just cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I mean, this is awesome.
I think the takeaway here, not only with growing your page likes, increasing your reach and engagement by promoting your awesome content, and awesome is relevant, and then generating leads. Okay, those top three goals or KPIs, if you will, you need to have a time element there. What do we want to grow the page likes by in 90 days, or where's our engagement and reach right now, and where do we want it to be in 90 days or 60 days or 30 days. And then same with leads. How many, we're going to spend X amount of dollars on Facebook ads to run to a landing page or something, and or many, and how many leads did we get off of it? What kind of success did we have? Did people like I just had a client that they had people clicking over to the landing page, but the landing page wasn't converting. So there's some information that you can look at and say, well, then my landing page doesn't have what people are looking for. It's not grabbing them quickly enough, or either that or I'm targeting the wrong people, which was the case with this.
And you're able to do it with data to back
You do
up
it with data,
everything.
And look at what your results with Facebook ads and your with that pixel, adding the pixel to your site, Facebook pixel, and you're able to see the results. And then so there's the whole kind of thing. We've created this, set our goals, the strategy, we've looked at the customers, and then we've executed what we think is right. And then we come back and look at what's done by the data and then make that decision from there.
I love this. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that, this is the kind of information that really needs to be out into the industry, because there are dealers, there's business people all over the place right now struggling to figure out, how do I make this work? And I guess kind of the big takeaway for me is, we've predominantly talked about Facebook here and social, but this is a strategy that applies to your business, period. Like if you're trying to figure out why people aren't showing up to your lot on Saturday, 'cause I remember 10, 12, 15 years ago where, that was the thing to do. People would go and they'd check out the car lot and there'd be the big gorilla and the squiggly arm thingies they'd go and grab a hot dog, and it was like a social event on Saturday mornings. And now these lots are completely empty, and that's kind of the validation or verifies what we've been saying for the last 10 years, that people are doing it. They're just doing it online. They're visiting you online. And I love that this day and age, we have access. What am I trying to say? We have more abundant access to data and, being able to track user movements and understand their intent and understand what it is that they're looking for than in any other time period in the history of this planet. And so what a shame it would be if the reason it didn't work for you is because you just didn't have a strategy and you were going all Willie Nelson on this thing and like you just thought putting money into it. So, here's the big takeaways for me. Have a very, very, and by very, I mean very clear goal. Like leads, not enough. Like where are we going with this? Yeah. If it's a social KPI, like what are we trying to achieve here? What is our purpose? If we want, 1,000 new likes in the next 90 days, what is the purpose for like going beyond? So that's the biggest thing for me. Second thing is applying buyer personas and getting to understand your audience. And PS, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but my opinion is that every vehicle that you sell, every service that you offer has an intended audience.
Yep.
Right? Yep. So get to know your audience, put out information, like you said, put out awesome information, and awesome is relevant in this case. Make it share-worthy, make it informative, give people what they're looking for. At the beginning of the conversation, you talked about the buying process. Make sure your content speaks to people at varying phases of the buying process, whether it's your social posts or blogs or landing pages or whatever it might be. And get involved on social media and make sure that you're actually fulfilling now your strategy. Make sure that halfway through, when you feel like things aren't working, you decide to pivot and change direction altogether. And I don't know about you, but I feel like so many people are just stuck in this perpetual. They're sitting in a rocking chair, lots of motion, no movement. They've pivoted so many times they don't actually know where they're going towards. And I talked about this on my last. I do a mini-sode. I've just started doing a Monday mini-sode of the podcast, and I talked about how a football can't change direction once it's flying through the air. And that's something you said, in this conversation. Don't see it through to the end.
Yeah.
See it through to the end. You can pivot once it's on the ground and rinse, refine, repeat, whatever you're going to do. But wait till the football flipping lands, for Pete's sake.
And if I might add that
You
When
might.
when when you find yourself in that quandary, then it might be worth looking at contacting somebody that knows, that can guide you, and on a, of course, temporary basis, but someone that can guide you through that strategy. And then you have a vendor. When I say a vendor, I mean someone that's selling you something, a widget of some sort, a
Sure.
software platform, or the
Yeah.
next greatest whatever. Those are not your strategists. Those are salespeople for other companies, and their goal is to sell you something and increase the profit at that company. Get the information from somewhere. Me, you, there's blogs out there. There's lots of conferences that are outside automotive. Whatever.
If imagine if the Egyptians had the access to information that we have today, they would crap their loincloths, okay? So like when you're saying it's because I was about to ask what I'm now thinking is a dumb question. And that was, well, how do we know who to talk to? And it's like you just said, google
Right,
dot com
right. And
and start
and
researching.
research, and if you've seen someone at a conference that you think that you align with, because not everybody aligns with everybody, test it out and see. And see, are they someone that could work with you, and is someone that could be considered, an expert or whatever. But yeah, there's information everywhere. And but I should also caution, though, because everybody gets, every day you'll get, the latest tips and tricks and hacks for Facebook
Yeah.
marketing. And so
Yeah.
there's this fire hose of, coming at you with information. So you have to be extra diligent about establishing who it is that you believe to be right, that's an expert. And unfortunately, I wish, in my dreams, I always, when I started doing this, actually, because I was an operational consulting firm before the social side of things. And when I started this, I thought, well, the factory, this is great because the factory can understand this and push the training or the knowledge, maybe through me or someone else, whatever, to the dealer. But the factories have not stepped up to the plate. They've been piecemeal. I worked on a project last year with Mazda, and they took their top 80 dealers nationally to had these half-day workshops on social and online reputation, and it was great. It was a great thing that we did. I think everyone was very happy. At least the feedback was. And if I saw more of that, I would be really enthused. But what I'm seeing from factories is, again, that same, like, let's hire the latest, I don't know, shiny object company that's gonna, and we'll push it down to the dealers, and then, but there's no value. There's no value.
You know what? And I would at some point love to have some OEM execs who are involved in these types of programs sit across the camera from me and tell me it's not because there's some paper being passed around.
Yes.
Because like, how can you? Oh man, I'm about to rant here. Like, how can you look somebody in the eye, somebody who pays you $1 bajillion in franchise fees, and tell them that you're not taking money under the table for the sucky of the suckiest shiny object
Yep.
that has ever been known to man, and you're mandating all of your dealers to use it or else.
Yes. Yep.
This doesn't make any sense to me. It sounds so bizarre.
I tell people
in no other
outside-
circumstance of life would we accept it.
Yeah, I tell people outside, my friends and colleagues and stuff outside the business, that this happened. They're like, "How can that be?" I'm like, "Oh no, it's real. It happens all the time."
Because money, money, money,
Yeah.
money.
Yep.
You know what? I mean, yeah, totally. I'm with you on that one, and it doesn't make any sense. And I think like you said, there's a fire hose treatment happening, and there's so much information out there, and it can look. I mean, I don't think either one of us would suggest that it's not difficult to know who to listen to. But you said something very important, and that is test it out. Like, that is marketing. If you're not comfortable with the risk associated with marketing, don't market.
Yeah.
You're going to spend money. Be comfortable with that. You're going to spend money. You're going to feel like you wasted money.
Mm-hmm.
But, You have to do it, because it's funny. I say this to some dealers. They go, "Oh, we're too busy to make digital a priority, or we're too busy to make our website a priority." I said, "So fantastic. You want to test something? What's that? Let's turn your website and your digital presence off for the next 90 days. You willing to do that with me? Like, just shut it off completely." And they're, "Oh, no, 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 no." So I guess where I'm going with this, and I'm not intending to make fun or point fingers or anything like that, but the reality of it is, what you're doing to market yourself, whether directly or indirectly, is affecting your business. Whether you can physically look at a piece of paper and say, "Oh, that really sucky commercial," or my 5,000 Facebook posts all saying you should be here, and stating the obvious, "Hey, we sell cars," are affecting your brand, and they're affecting your reputation in the market, and they're affecting your credibility. So just be comfortable testing something. Things will break along the way. It's like, dude, it's like me learning to ride a motorcycle. I was in the parking lot the other day and I tipped the thing over and gas started leaking and I started tinkering around. Did I say, yes, this is going to cost me money? Of course I did. Does that suck sometimes? Totally. But I spent some time tinkering around with the motorcycle to learn, and in so doing, I learned things about the mechanics that I wouldn't have learned. And so my point is, and I think, this is kind of something that's important for people to hear, is just do it. Getting in there and getting your hands dirty and making mistakes and testing things out and taking the time to strategize and get clear on your goals and your vision. Those are the things that will make you that much more stronger of a marketer tomorrow. And next thing you know, you're going to be looking back 10 years from now when some new social platform's out there and Facebook's been bought for $8 zillion. And you're just going to have so much more knowledge to go along with what you're doing on that new platform or whatever, or in your other marketing, people are going to be like, "How'd you get so strong?" And you're going to be able to look confidently back like Kathi and I do and say, because we fell a lot. We made a ton of mistakes and we learned and we picked ourselves up and we brushed ourselves off and we kept moving and forging forward and listening to people that we respected and gathering all that information like you said, right?
Yes.
I am not passionate about this at all.
No.
I'm just going to tell you that.
I would say that, because I used to say this only about social, but it's actually digital marketing, because I actually hear this, that, we can't do digital right now, or we're doing digital, but they're really not. They're really spending a bulk of their advertising dollars and marketing dollars on traditional stuff. So, so I used to say it's about social, but it's really about digital, is that you may say that you're like, you've got a website and you've got some things, but you're not really, on digital, or you're not really spending. Well, you're actually on digital and you're on social. It's just, there's other people talking about you, or people are ignoring you, or people that may want to buy from you are looking for you and not finding you. And that says something about you. Totally. So not participating in what is your own brand, like the whole value of what your brand is, and delivering that value in those specific platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or your website or your blog or wherever you are, then if you're not, you have that opportunity to participate. And if you're not, you're still participating. You're saying you're saying no. And that therein lies the biggest danger, I think, that I think dealers, and not just dealers, I see it a lot of places where people are just like waking up and saying, well, I don't know, and maybe I will, maybe I won't. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Sitting on the bench is still participating, basically.
And for those people that are new, or that, well, how do I get from here where I'm at to there? I would say, dude or gal, spend 15 minutes a day consuming content. I'm not talking about the political rantings of whatever is in the news. Okay?
Does that happen?
Okay? I'm not talking about...
Or in the industry.
Oh, that's important. I get it. Okay. But right now, put the hat on of, and this goes for everybody. This isn't just dealers. This goes for managers, salespeople, service writers, service managers, parts, everybody. Put the hat on and say, I'm going to educate myself for 15 minutes a day about the things that I think I need to know about or the things that I'm interested in. And just 15 minutes a day. That's it. That's all we ask. And see how that, because the journey it'll guide you to where you need to be, and it'll help you figure out where to spend your money wisely.
I tell you what, I'm so glad we caught up today, because this is a message. I mean, I feel like we talked Facebook, but there was so many undertones to the message. And I mean, I love it because it's so relevant. And for those of you, watching or listening, this is something you need to start chewing on if you haven't already done so. What Kathi just said, I mean, you got to dig in. My day, and we know for certain, Kathi's day starts with education. And we are constantly we can't get enough of it, right? And it's a big part of what we do as marketers. And so if you're the DIY dealer marketer, it just needs to be part of what you're doing. Kathi, seriously, I'm so glad we caught up. Thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome. It's great. It's nice to talk about this and get it all out in the open. It's always better to, express and be open and have it out there, because it is a huge issue. Okay. I am a former dealer executive manager. I advocate for dealers, and there's so much disruption going on in the dealership environment. And, you got to come with your big guns, man. And saying that digital isn't, something you want to do, or is, you just don't quite want to do it. That's not going to work anymore.
No, totally doesn't work. It doesn't. It's 2016. You need to embrace it.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
How can those listening or joining us today get in touch with you?
Well, I'm pretty much everywhere on social. So my website.
It'd be weird if you weren't.
It would be. Yeah, it would be. Although I do see some people that are considered social gurus that don't really have a social presence, which always makes me wonder.
They're still trying to figure out how to say Is it tum?
That's right. My website is cruisecontrolinc.com, Kruse, my last name, controlinc.com. My email is Kathi@cruisecontrolinc.com. Twitter, my Twitter handle, Kathi Kruse, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, pretty much everywhere.
So literally everywhere. And we're going to link to all that in the show notes. So definitely go check that out. And you know what? Till next time, we need to do this again. That's
we definitely do. We definitely. And right I need to mention, because I'm, so much. I'm a marketer, but when it comes to remembering to do what I need to do, I actually am just putting it. I think got up on Amazon, but I did a second edition of Automotive Social Business. So it's up, and actually,
okay, we're going to link to that in the show notes.
Here's my printed today.
Wow.
Version today that's
a beast of a book right there.
The first one was only 200 and some pages. This one turned out to be 370. So
awesome. And so it's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
So definitely we're going to link to that in the show notes as well, so you guys can go check that out.
Thanks.
Kathi, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Sure. Anytime.
So I don't know about you, but if you didn't sense the passion in the conversation, man, I don't know what to tell you. I'm so grateful for Kathi for joining me on the show today. I mean, just a wealth of information about the strategy that you should be implementing on social media. So for those of you that want to learn more, definitely go check out the show notes at www.thedealerplaybook.com. I'm going to link to it in the description if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. And, also, like you heard Kathi say, go grab a copy of her newly revised edition of her book, which, as you can see, man, it's a wealth of information. I'm super excited to dig into that as well. Until next time, guys, keep the playbook open and dominate.